Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're back. This is kind of a special video. We're at my parents' house this morning. They live right next door. My dad is 80 years old and he's a believer, but he doesn't necessarily believe in the mystic stuff. And yet at the same, is that a fair?
Yes.
Okay. And yet at the same time, he keeps getting dreams and we just wonder if they're dreams from the spirit. I don't know. So I'm going to just move around here. And Daddy, why don't you just turn, kind of angle yourself over here.
Okay.
And this is my dad, Jim Swafford. And I want you to just tell us, Daddy, what you dreamt this morning, like the time and everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
At about 4 o'clock in the morning, of course, I woke and was unable to get back to sleep. But anyway, I went to a chair in the back room, and I sat there for about an hour and a half, still restless and so forth. At 5:30 or so, I got up and took a couple of Excedrins, and so I know the time I drifted back off to sleep before I woke up at 8 o'clock or so. But anyway, from that time, I had another dream. I have these often, but I don't know what they mean or what they're about. But this dream was very specific in the time that I had it. But anyway, it was that I was in an auditorium. It was people seated, and I was at the back, and up front on the stage was Chairman Xi from China. And he was at a group up there with him. Anyway, I stood up and asked a question, but he was talking about first about a clock that had some sort of dispute on whether China could make it or had something with the workings of the clock, I suppose nationally or whatever. So I just stood up in the back and interjected myself during his conversation. I said, if you're China and you're so big, why can't you build a clock? Well, that really upset him. Chairman Xi got up out of his chair and he jumped 2 to 3 times up in the air, and then he calmed down. And he basically went on to say something else, but I don't remember what that was. But basically he said, he thanked me for the question. And he asked me to come forward. So I get up and I walk around the auditorium and down toward the front. And one of his cohorts brings out a very intricate lamp. It had pods on it, but it had a lot of intricate things. It was 2 to 3 feet in height, but it had a lamp on the end of it. And I accepted the gift, and then I left the auditorium. And I got on the highway and I drove a while, and then I stopped at this shop. And I went in, and the man that waited on me was Oriental. And for whatever reason, I said, "Are you Japanese?" He got kind of offended over it. He says, "No, I'm Chinese." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry." But he was very nice and there in the shop. But he noticed this lamp, this intricate lamp I was holding. He said, "Isn't that amazing kind of lamp?" But he says, "You know what you need for it is a bulb, a light bulb." And I looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, that is what I need." And so he went over to the shelf and he brought one out that was still in the box. But he said, this should work." Well, I took it in hand and thanked him. And I left the shop. And as I left the shop, I turned around and I was in the back of the shop area, some distance away. And there was these 4 boys and 1 man building a platform with 4 piers on the corners and a place to kind of like a boat dock, if you were to describe it. And on top of that, they were laying pieces of limber wood across the top of it, kind of like a shaded type affair. And I said, "What in the world are y'all doing?" And they said to me, we are building the Chinese clock for him. And I said, out of that? And they said, yes, we can build the Chinese clock. And I said, well, I think I'll just stick around and watch this happen. Well, that just kind of transposed that dock into another setting, as if we moved to another place, but it was the same dock without the wood above it. And I'm sitting on one corner of this pier dock looking down. And there are the four boys in the middle and a man back in the corner leaning against the far post. And it began to snow. And it was cold. It was real cold. And so I'm sitting there with this down this dock looking out over this flat, snowy white land. It was very flat and gray. And then I looked down and there were 4 lambs, little lambs, white lambs. 3 of them walked away into the distance to kind of a bushy area, but they walked away and 1 lamb stayed beneath. And I'm looking down at this lamb and he's bang, bah, bah, bah. And the 4 boys were hearing it, and I told them, he must be hungry. And then I looked back down, he was still there. But then I decided, for whatever reason, I reached down on the dock floor and I scooped up some snow and I began to lick the snow and eat it. Kind of with my eyes closed, but, satisfying a thirst, I guess. But then when I looked back down, the little white lamb was gone. And I woke up, and that was my dream.
And that's the only thing you dreamt during that time period?
Absolutely. No other dreams, no other thoughts.
And it was between what hours and 4?
5:30 and about 7:30 to 8.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was very specific. Never wavered one bit in that dream. But it was definitely Chinese, the chairman there, and it was a crowd of an audience and listening to it. And I was at the back when I stood up and interjected. But here's one thing he did say. He called me by name. Mm-hmm. He did call me Jim when he answered my question and got it, and everything calmed down, which I found that strange too. But then after I got that lamp, I was looking at it and it was something you wouldn't set on your table. It was very intricate in design. It had a lot of crossbars, gizmos in it and so forth, but the lamp was at the top. It had 4 pods where it sat, but it's something you wouldn't put in your house to decorate. But when I got in that shop, it was just like a store, but it's very small. But the man was Oriental, and I don't know why I asked him if he's Japanese. Maybe he just because he's Oriental, but he was specifically told me I'm Chinese. But he offered me a remedy for the lamp I had, as if he knew what it was. And obviously you have to have a light bulb to make a thing work. So, but he went over to the shelf and picked out the correct bulb. But once I had that, that's when and then we segued into the outside of this pier building. But the same thing these boys were doing was taking a primitive way of building a clock. And I thought, I was just with Chairman Xi and he was having problems with the clock. But I thought, how interesting, I'll just sit around and see, watch you make this clock work. But that quickly transcended into the open space and the white snow and the snow on the pier and being very cold. It was real cold. And then the 4 lambs, there were 3 and 1. And these 3 went away and this 1 stayed. and was baying up at us. You know how a lamb does.
Yes, I do.
And as he was baying, I've been around lambs and sheep, and so I knew what. And I was saying to the children that he must be hungry. Mm-hmm. He must be hungry. And that's when my attention moved away from the lamb, and that's when how you scrape up the top layer of the snow from the deck, picked up the snow, and then you basically take your attention away from it. But the snow was very refreshing and cool. And then when I looked down, that lamb was gone. And I remember I looked around, I looked under to find it, but it was gone and nowhere to be. And that's when I woke up.
Yeah.
So that was that dream. I've had others, but
That was that one.
that was very, very, very real. I don't know what it means or how one would interpret that dream to be, if anything. So, but there it is. I have these at times where these dreams, and then they're recently happening, but they come to me and they stick with me.
So
Go ahead.
are you getting, you're getting more, recently, you're getting more that are not normal dreams.
Oh, yes.
Would you describe them as different?
Oh, yes. Most dreams, you just, when you open your eyes, they're gone, or they mist away and so forth. That's most of the dreams that I have. But then I have these very, 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 like the other night, the dream I had.
Well, we won't. We'll do that one for another video.
But I mean, those dreams are very, very specific in nature and way out of the norm. But when you wake up, you say, "Wow, that was most unusual," and it's almost as if you need to tell somebody about that type.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I had.
And you're a believer in God.
Yes.
Have been all your life.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but not real in a cosmic kind of.
No,
Spiritually.
I'm not. I'm very skeptical of any mysticism or anything like that. Even though I have kin folks that believe in the great mystery in the sky type thing. But
You're a pretty practical, common sense kind of guy.
I am, and but really, sometimes these are very bothersome. They're very troubling to me because I've never had them before.
Not like this.
Not like this.
Maybe somebody out there can help us interpret.
Well, that would be very interesting. I could tell some more later.
Yeah.
If anybody would be interested in trying to interpret
Yeah.
these things that are coming into my mind in dreams.
Yeah.
It's all. But last night this morning was almost like a vision. I mean, it was less a dream and more like a vision episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was very limited in time and very specific.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Okay.
Are you okay with putting something like this on YouTube then?
Sure. So long as yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. We need to, before we do it, we kind of need to think about it and we don't want anything negative to happen. I don't even know what that might be, but anyway.
Sure. If anybody wants to take a whack at it, they sure can.
If anybody, yeah. I don't know. We don't know how to interpret these. We're believers. I believe that God talks us through dreams and visions. I think that's biblical and scriptural. But does he still? Does he now? I say yes. But, and I think this is a time where you wonder about, in Acts 2, where it says, old men, no offense, Daddy.
No problem. I am old.
Old men will dream dreams and young men will have visions, and you just wonder, is that this? Can someone please help us the fact that this had to do with China, I think this is not just for our family, which I think some of his dreams have been. I think this is for the nation. So we're just putting it out there. So anyway, God bless. Let us know what you think. Comment, share, subscribe. Just, I don't know, just be a part of this, and let's see, maybe God's speaking to all of us. Anyway, thanks for joining my channel. Have a blessed day, and we'll talk later.